What's happening, everybody? It's Sean here, and I'm here today to give you guys a review of the Joe Freshgoods collaboration with New Balance on the 650R Stuntman. So according to Joe Robinson, better known as Joe Freshgoods, this was more of an art project rather than a typical commercial campaign. Basically, the concept behind this shoe imagines what New Balance would have released if Michael Jordan signed with New Balance instead of Nike. And how this thought all came to be is because back in 1984, Jordan was involved in a photo shoot for an issue for Life magazine. And in that photo, he was actually wearing a pair of New Balances, which is rumored to be a pair of the New Balance 480. And in that historic photo, that's what originated the iconic Jumpman pose, which eventually went on to become the official Jordan brand logo. So this shoe takes us back to 1984, and it represents a shoe that Michael Jordan could have worn if he had gone with another direction instead of Nike. So these released on September 9th, and they were sold exclusively in Chicago, which is where Joe Freshgoods is from, and of course, the home of the Chicago Bulls. And these retailed for a price of $185 US, which is roughly 250 Canadian dollars converted, and this shoe was limited to only 500 pairs, each of which were individually and uniquely hand numbered. And oddly enough, according to the box label, the official colorway for this shoe is yellow and white. So the New Balance 650R is the high top counterpart to the super popular New Balance 550 silhouette. Originally released as a basketball shoe for the 1980s, nowadays it's pretty much universally worn as a casual use sneaker. And at first glance, I'll admit this definitely looks like a typical standard New Balance 650, but I'll take you through all the details of this shoe, and I'll give you guys a closer look to see what sets the shoe apart. First things first though, here's a quick look at the box. So this comes in a custom box for this release, and the box itself has a sort of aged and distressed or vintage look to it. So this mimics the look of what the box would have looked like back in the 1980s. And another fun Easter egg is underneath the top lid. You can see right here, it has 1984, which is a callback to when Michael Jordan joined the NBA. So taking a closer look at the details, as we start things off on the toe box, this is covered in a slightly tumbled sail or off-white colored leather. Just like any other 650, we have these 3 rows of diagonal perforations, and right above this, right before the laces, we have this layer of white mesh. Surrounding the front toe cap, we have this asymmetrical overlay of leather, and then moving downwards, covering the bottom 2 eyelets, we have this soft and buttery gray colored suede, and instead of 650 branding, we have JFG embroidered across in gray. And this panel here you'll see is entirely perforated on the bottom. Moving downwards, we have more of that same sail or off-white colored leather, and then in the middle of the mid panel, we have this New Balance end logo, and this again is constructed out of that gray colored suede once again. Next to this, we have more of that tumbled leather, and this covers all the eyelets, and then surrounding the top portion of the heel, here we have a light gray colored leather, and we have these distinct perforations which cover this entire panel. Overlaid on top of this and looping around the back, we have this long-haired fuzzy gray suede, and we have New Balance branding visible here as well. Surrounding the bottom of the heel, we have more of that tumbled off-white colored leather, and then beneath this we have this gray colored solid heel clip, which gives you added structure and support for the back end of the shoe. As far as the laces go, so these come with 2 different lace options. If you like more of a clean look, they come with a very light gray flat style lace, but if you want to give the shoe a little bit more of that vintage touch, they also give you a secondary pair of pre-aged laces, but personally I'm not a huge fan of this really aged look. Underneath this, the tongue is constructed primarily out of this mesh, and you'll see the foam layer underneath is partly visible and has these perforations throughout. On the very top, we have this large rectangular tag with New Balance 650 and Joe Freshgoods co-branding, and the Joe Freshgoods branding is seen in what looks like a person palming a basketball. And then on the back of the tongue, this is where the shoe is individually numbered. So like I mentioned, there's only 500 pairs of the shoe in existence, and my pair that I got was pair 184. The interior of the shoe is lightly padded, and it's covered in this gray colored mesh lining. And then as far as the insoles go, so just like any other 650 or 550, this comes with an Ortholite branded insole, which is dual stacked. So the top layer is just your standard foam insole, but then underneath the back half, there's a secondary layer of foam. So this, in my opinion, is where the majority of the comfort of the shoe is coming from. And hanging off the shoe, it also comes with this paper hang tag, basically imagining that this shoe was a sample for Michael Jordan. So we have the style code of the shoe, which is BB650RZ1 or RZ1, developer Joe Robinson, quarter S2 for 1984, and then you'll see the comments here, it says for special magazine shoot, and then size 13, which is actually Michael Jordan's foot size. So I love these little Easter eggs like this. It really makes the whole project come alive, even though it cost New Balance pretty much nothing to include this. Anyways, moving on with the shoe. So the upper of the 650 sits atop this solid rubber cupsole, and within this cupsole we do have a foam wedge. We have the New Balance word mark and New Balance logo found on the lateral side, and then on the medial side we have this exposed wedge of foam which is visible right in the midfoot. Finally, turning this pair over to the bottom, so this is your typical 650 or 550 outsole, and in this case it's constructed out of a mix of gray and white colored rubber. And on the heel, here we have the New Balance branding once again. So that breaks down the look and the construction of this shoe. And for those wondering about sizing, to me these fit like any other 650 that I've worn personally. So my foot measures as a true size 10, slightly on the wider side, and I prefer to go a half size down in both the 650 and the 550. In my opinion, these models run a little bit long, so when I go true to size, it fits me fine width-wise, but there is some noticeable heel slippage, which does bug me. So by going down a half size, it eliminates the issue of the extra length. And yes, straight out of the box, the width of the shoe can be a little bit snug, but assuming your feet aren't really wide, over time in my experience, they really break in, form to your feet, and they feel much better after you really break in the leather. But your preference may be different. If you normally stick true to size for both the 550 or the 650, then just go with that exact same size for this pair and you should be fine. To give you guys a point of comparison, I go half size down in a lot of made in USA New Balance shoes like the 990 V3, V4, V5, and V6, the 992, and the 993. And in comparison, I go with the size 10 or true to size in other New Balance silhouettes like the 2002R, 1906R, and 860 V2. Moving on to the comfort, so the 650R is a shoe that you really have to break in because straight out of the box it feels extremely clunky, a little bit heavy, and honestly it's not that comfortable of a sneaker. Like I mentioned earlier, the majority of the comfort of the shoe is coming from that very stacked insole, but otherwise in my opinion it's not that comfortable of a sneaker. But like I said, the more you wear this shoe, it really breaks in, forms well to the shape of your foot, and they feel much better over time. Once you're able to break in that upper, it really fits your foot like a glove, and then that's where you can really appreciate that underfoot cushioning with that insole. So again, if you're someone that normally loves how 650s or 550s feel, then you'll also love these. But if you're someone that feels they're very clunky and uncomfortable, then I'd probably stay away from this shoe as well. Finally, in terms of the quality and the craftsmanship on this shoe, so this is where the shoe really shines. The material quality of the shoe was really great. First of all, the leathers used on the shoe, I thought they were exceptional. They utilize genuine leathers throughout the shoe, and they have this nice, slightly tumbled feel to it, which gives it more of a softer feel and adds to the whole vintage feel and look of the sneaker. And same thing with the suedes, I thought this was a very nice cut of suede, so all in all, I was very happy with the material quality. And same thing with the build, I thought this pair was pretty much flawless. There were some minor issues with glue around the midsole area, but other than that, the stitch job I thought was pristine. The panels were cut in place consistently, so this to me felt like more of an elevated version of the New Balance 650. So with all that out of the way now, let me toss these on feet, I'll lace them up for you, and I'll show you guys how these look. The opinions behind this shoe are extremely split. Every time I see a post on social media, I either have people claiming that this is the shoe of the year, as well as some angry people saying that this is just a general release design, but because they slapped on Joe Freshgoods' stamp of approval and make it limited to 500 pairs, that's why the hype of the shoe is really high. And being completely honest with you guys, I can see where you're coming from. Design-wise, there's really nothing special about this shoe. It is just a vintage-looking white and gray New Balance 650 with a bit more elevated materials, so there's really nothing spectacular or special about this colorway. But part of a sneaker release, I guess you could say, is the campaign and the inspiration behind it. So if you're looking at it from that lens, I can see why a lot of people are speaking super highly about this release. Like I mentioned right in the beginning, Joe Freshgoods said this is more of an art project, but at the end of the day, I personally wouldn't waste any negative energy on a shoe like this if you're not a fan of it. Let people buy what they want, let people pay what they want to pay, and you just worry about your own shoes and your own money. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think about this Joe Freshgoods New Balance 650 Stuntman? Are you more on the camp that feels that this is a general release colorway and it's just the hype of the shoe being limited and it being a Joe Freshgoods collab that's driving the popularity of the sneaker? Or do you appreciate this as a work of art and think this is worthy of the praise that it's receiving? So leave a comment down below and let me know what you guys think. As always, if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. You can follow me on Instagram at esco8, follow my Twitter account or X account at sean.go, and visit my website as well at seango.ca. So thank you everyone for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review and hopefully it helped you in some way. Thank you for the continued love and support, and I'll catch you all in my next video.